90% of Quinksters or people in Quinky communities show autistic traits compared to 1 or 2% of people in the general population. That is a lot more than, if I did quick math, I could tell you, but I don't. So you're free to say something in the comments. That's 49% more. That's 48 to 49% more than general community. So is it that us Quinky people tend to be autistic, or is it that it just happens to be? What do autistic people find in Quinky communities that just makes it better? I can tell you what my experience is, but why would you believe me? I am not researching this stuff. I am just a dog. But what I can tell you is that I am very happy to have someone who is a researcher and who has a ton of knowledge on this topic. So let me just go on here and... So very excited, very, very excited to learn about Quinky people and autistic people with the same thing. Hi.
Hello.
I
Hello.
love the background. Very good. Look at
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. There's just acoustic panels.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
I
Well,
love how
welcome.
they look.
It's very good. Very good. Love it. Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for spending time with me for this conversation. Can you please introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are, but they should?
Yeah. Hello there. My name is Miriam. I do have the account Words Are a Kink, and I'm a researcher, an educator, as it seems. So that's where I came along, the way that I've been taking, and also a journalist, but not about kink, other topics, usually as a ghostwriter and freelancer.
Oh, interesting. Why Ghostwriter?
It developed like that. I've been putting some pieces online, and some people came up to me and said, "Hey, can you write for me?" And well, that's that's how it all got started.
I did realize that at some point you made a story on your account asking if the people wanted to see the face behind the posts or just keep it as anonymous. And it wasn't until that point that I realized I didn't know who was writing it. When I saw your account, I immediately became a fan. I was like, I need to read all of these posts and just get every single bit of information. But I realized that I didn't know who was behind it. So I'm very happy that you decided to do this.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was like happy to be here.
Good. So I wanted to talk about neurodivergence and Quink or kink.
Mhm.
Instagram is a thing, and you have two posts about it. So I kind of wanted to go over them. I have them right here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And just some ideas that you have, um, because I think that as a kinky person, as an autistic person, kink has created a beautiful, safe space
Mhm.
I didn't know I could have.
Mhm.
Has that been your experience? What do you think about how autistic people might find some kind of safety in kink?
I think especially for autistic people, it's like a big relief for many reasons. Because the first thing that came to my mind was like the sensory clarity. So
Mhm.
not having to be surprised by everything that's going on when you're kinky and you're doing that nice little interacting things, because it still stays really exciting, and it's like, wow, a whole new world. But going into it, you know what's going to happen, and you talk about what's not going to happen. And that is like, in terms of like intimacy, um, from my point of view, a big game changer. I'm ADHD and autistic as well. So that was really a big relief for me. Then, like, the rituals, you know your place in the
Mm.
relationship. I think that's always something that's really important, but I do not find a place in the vanilla world where you talk about everything so explicit, and you set the rules and you can talk about everything. And this is just normal for kinky people or in a BDSM DS relationship. And also that's a big relief that you can really talk through the stuff then, that you have explicit language, and yet you get to talk about everything, and that there's no room open for guess what I mean.
Mm.
So you're really encouraged to say what you mean. And this is, again, a big relief, because I think autistic people often have a problem to really feel into themselves and their own feelings. And then you have to read the other person and guess the other person and
Yeah.
live a role they expect from you, but you're not sure whether they mean this or that. And when you ask, they kind of get upset because you could not read their mind. And this is something you do not have. You do not have like that in BDSM.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, right? Like I
Yeah.
part of what I learned is this negotiation, and
Mhm.
things have to be accepted.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big relief. Um, and also that you get like monitored during intimacy and all of that. Pictures just freezing. Still there? Picture is frozen.
Sorry,
No,
I'm
yeah,
back. Okay,
yeah,
just
yeah.
a call came through for some reason. And so you were saying, sorry. Yeah.
And also being monitored, because what I experienced and also heard from other people, that when you're autistic or also in ADHD, because they are so much overlapping, it can happen that you just numb out during intimacy and that you just go silent. And for a dominant, this is always a signal to just stop. And for vanilla people, this is just like, starfish, let's go.
That is a very good point. When the other person goes silent, it's a sign to stop for the dom.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere that like it was like tips for doms, and they were saying instead of asking your sub for like the color or the word, it's more like, if you don't tell me what color you're at right now, like green, yellow, or red, I will stop. Like the
Mhm.
assumption is, if you're silent, if you're not communicating what you need, I will stop, instead
Yeah.
of assuming that it's a yes. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I did a post on that, which says silence isn't subspace. So where I go into the details of phone response, freeze, dissociation, and yeah, or the other, and how you can maybe see what you're dealing with and how to
Yeah,
get someone out of it and what it requires in regards to aftercare and stuff like that.
yeah.
So
If you're watching this live, feel free to drop your questions,
yes,
comments.
absolutely, absolutely.
You're all very silent, and you know what? We just said that if silence means stop. So if you don't want us to stop, I'm kidding. That's emotional manipulation. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Somebody is saying that I imagine that silence can also be a point to check in.
Always, from my point of view, always. I'm not a dominant, I'm on the other half. But if someone is going silent, I will always encourage to check in, because it's too dangerous. So if someone's going into a freeze or into dissociation or something like that, it's not always subspace. So silence isn't always subspace, and you have to check in.
Yeah, like it's better to err in the on the side of caution than
Yeah,
push someone too far. Um,
yeah.
on this
And it's also
post, yeah,
sorry. And it's also beautiful, because if you have someone who's checking in with you because you're going silent, you're going to feel more safe. So this is like always positive, stacking upon each other. And this, if you're more safe, you're easier letting go. So it's really a beautiful thing.
I've got a few people commenting on their posts about how only secure people can start kink, or only secure people can have relationships. And it's this fantasy, romantic fantasy that we have, that I will become secure and find a secure person and it will just magically happen, when security is something you create in the relationship, which I think is what you're saying. Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's a lot of learning on both sides of the equation as well, because you need to be able to communicate what you need to feel safe for the other person, to enable that person to give you exactly that. So it's not okay. Let's do BDSM and now bibbidi bobbidi boo. Everyone's safe and feels deeply connected, but you really have to learn a lot and put a lot of effort and work into it. But it's so worth it. It's just beautiful.
And I don't, it is work, but you know what people say? if I ask for it, I don't want it anymore. Like you have to guess. And this is like idea that I think that one thing a lot of people miss is I can ask for it in the beginning, and then eventually it can become something that we know. You know, like if I know that it makes me very safe when you ask me how like a question, then the first few times I will ask you, and then you can start getting to know who I am. We're not going to be assuming what you need or what I need. Somebody said here that, oh, hi, Mike. But it can be self-spaced, right? I go outwardly silent, but I'm very active in my mind, and it's wonderful. But then was a response that I loved. I said, absolutely. If it is subspace, check-ins won't pull you out of it. I think that's so
Yeah,
important.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you have to learn it. You have to see how everyone's a little bit different, I think.
Mhm.
But once you learn it and you get to know your partner, it's really soft and easy things that you can do to find out whether the person is still, like there with you and enjoying everything, and or whether she's just like gone and there's the switch and he's not reacting anymore. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of nice. You recognize it without really feeling it, but it still makes you more secure, and it's beautiful.
it is.
It,
It is beautiful. You talk about in this post you mentioned sensory clarity
mhm.
and like what happens. You said sensory capacity isn't fixed. I
Yeah,
had an experience on Saturday. I had a very emotional conversation with my alpha. I was not expecting, so I was already very emotionally hungover. And then
mhm.
my daddy and I went somewhere, and I had a couple of experiences with other people that I was not a fan of. So I was already emotionally raw, and then I had these experiences that made me very uncomfortable. So I was already at capacity.
Mhm.
And then we went to this party that was incredibly loud. I cannot, I don't, I was just looking at people like, how can you be so loud? Why is everybody
Mhm.
screaming? And I was like, meltdown. I'm starting to go into a meltdown. And then I realized my daddy had never been with me during these kind of sensory overload. I am starting to shut down. And I have a horrible analogy of the boiled frog where I say, like, if if I am like a boiled frog, if you put me in lukewarm water, you can boil me until it's too hot. But if you put me down in the hot water, I will freak out, which that
Yeah,
party was a hot pot. So I
yeah.
said, this pot is too hot. The frog is boiling. He didn't know how to act because we never had this conversation.
Mhm.
I usually am very good at self-regulating. And
Mhm.
he is used to me self-regulating. So he was like, well, if you need something, you will ask me because that's the way things usually are. But at this point, I was not able to do it. So I just shut down, reached out to a few friends. I'm like, I need some co-regulation. And I think that kink dynamics in relationships, because they're so specific, they allow for this conversation of how can I help you? How can I be there for you when these things happen? How can I don't know, does this make sense? Like just having these protocols to follow might
Yeah,
be easier to talk about in a kink dynamic than in a relationship that's not used to having these conversations.
I think so too. Yes. Um, Shutdowns and meltdowns, they're so exhausting. This is so incredibly exhausting. And then in that moment, I cannot communicate what I need because I'm just gone. Either I'm not able to communicate at all, or I'm so overwhelmed and get aggressive and loud and like want to just push everything and everyone away and get out of it and freak out. You cannot in that moment communicate to someone how you are going to feel and what you're going to need.
Yeah.
Um, but talking about it before and explaining it, I think that's way easier in a kinky relationship because, as you said, you're used to communicate how you are feel in certain situations and how you want the other person to react because you don't assume or expect anyone to guess what you think, to guess what you feel, to guess what you need. I think that's unhealthy behavior in any kind of relationship. And this
Yeah.
is something I really like about DS relationships, BDSM, and all of that, that people are way more used to this sort of communication and don't
Yeah.
assume or want anyone to read my mind.
And
Make me
part of
happy.
that,
Read my mind. You can't. If you can't read my mind, you don't have me. You just read my mind. Who am I?
no,
Obi-Wan Kenobi? Man, he couldn't read minds, but you know what I mean.
no, I know, and that's part of my reaction in that moment was assuming good faith. You know, my daddy doesn't know what to do. He's not going to read my mind. But I think that in the past, I could have reacted like, "Could you not tell that I was upset? Could you not see my face?" Which
Mhm,
I go into this. I call it very visible unmasking, not in the best
mhm,
way,
mhm.
because then I feel or I know I start acting very stereotypically autistic,
Yeah.
you know, like with stereotypical movements, a lot of stimming, a lot of like reaction to it's very, very clear. It's just
Mhm.
like all my tools stop working. Um, do you have any tools, any strategies that can help neurodivergent people self-regulate, or how do you see neurodivergent people regulating in the kinky world? What's your experience around that?
Co-regulation works really well for me. So if you just have someone sitting close to you, or just needs to be shoulder by shoulder. They don't even have to touch you. It can be just legs touching each other, and you feel that they're calm when they're like breathing slowly and calmly, when the energy is coming across, when they're just like putting a hand on your leg and stuff like that. What really helps me when I start getting overwhelmed is like noise canceling headphones. I usually
Yes.
always carry them around.
Yes, same.
Um, when I go outdoors, like supermarket and stuff and shopping, I really like wearing hoodies because if I put up the hoodie,
Mm.
then my vision is not everything around because the lights are from up and you have people moving all around you. It's like, you know, that stuff that the horses wear when you have them in front of a, how you call
Yes.
it, cabbage? These things that they just limit your vision and this helps calming down. If it gets really severe, tight hugs always help think because there's a nervous system reaction and also like
Mhm.
pressure on the upper stomach area is something that really helps me. Then I like to like curl up on the sofa in my kitty corner. I love so much.
Yeah.
With piles of pillows and blankets, and I always have one pillow which is like pressed against my upper tummy then. And this is something which really helps me to self-regulate and also like save food. There are some
Mhm.
things which taste like really familiar and always the same, and it helps to have some of that with you around. And also like hydration is always important in that cases. So the more familiar sensory input you get in and the easier you can lower what's getting into your brain and that you do not want, the easier it gets to regulate and maybe even avoid a meltdown or a shutdown. And when you
Yeah,
feel you're getting into that, tell someone, get me out of here. I feel I'm going into a shutdown. And instead of fighting it, just let it be. Just accept that it's coming. Don't fight it off because then it's going to be so much. Ugh.
of course. And it's I feel I was feeling at that moment, I just wanted to like curl into a ball and cry. Like that's all I
Mhm,
wanted to do. And
mhm.
all my energy was in standing and pretending to be normal and pretending everything was okay because I was surrounded by people and I was like, nobody's going to understand what's happening.
Mhm.
And if I just, I don't know. So when we got back, I just went into my room. I found a show that is very familiar. It's very easy. I have food that is very familiar. I was like, I'm just gonna sit here, focus on this, and it's just it's what I need.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I had a partner at some point that I was in one of these moments, and we're in a hotel, and he grabbed me, he carried me to
Mhm.
the shower, he
Mhm.
turned off the lights of the shower, he made sure the temperature was very nice and acceptable. And
Yeah.
he was just like, I'm here with you. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
let go. And it just
Mhm.
made me feel so safe, so not overstimulated and
Yeah.
understood. And I think that's one of the biggest things. So I don't want to feel like a freak. I don't want to feel embarrassed or humiliated for feeling what I'm feeling because I think it's hard for people who never experienced this to be like, it's just noise, it's just lights. Like, why are you freaking out?
Yeah, because we cannot filter it. We do feel everything all the time at full volume. So for me, an easy example is always try put a really tight rubber band around your ankle for neurotypical people. Put that around your ankle, something that you cannot ignore, which is so tight that it sucks. And this is how I feel my socks all day on both ankles. And this is just my socks. I not started about talking tags and
Oh
closes. I
no.
didn't start talk about like too much light. I did not talk about people passing me or just like tapping my shoulder because they have questions. I did not talk about like people talking 3 chairs away in a restaurant, which I cannot filter out. I do hear them all the time. I did not talk about the news, which is going to be on the radio in the restaurant, maybe, or in the diner, or at whatever fast food restaurant. I did not talk about the
The
smells that are
smells.
everywhere.
Yes.
Like, no matter if it's like rain, which is like really nice, or if it's just like streets, or if it's like food trucks and stuff like that, or people in the subway, or everything, every sense that you have, neurotypical people do filter that. But for me, for autistic people, it comes in all the time at high volume. And what I also wrote in the post is that if you are somewhere and you do not have the capacity to process all of that in the moment, it feels like it's getting saved in your head and you need to process all of that later. So it's not that you're coming home, you're closing the door, it's silent, and you're like, oh, relax now. Then you have to start to process everything out that was saved and that was too much before. And especially in these situations, it can, for me, happen when I'm so overwhelmed that I go, how's that called? Selective mutism,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
I am not able to talk anymore. So then I just need like silence and nothing as much as possible until my brain has processed all that was saved and kept being unprocessed in that moment. What I really like for being outside, I'm not sure if this is like advertising or something, but there are earplugs available which filter out something between 18 and 25 decibel.
Yeah.
So I think they're really nice. And there are also special ones which keep the spectrum of human voice available, which gets through, and just the surrounding noise is filtered out a little bit more. So I think for autistic people, they are really nice as well. I love them, especially in
Y-
restaurants and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a couple of comments. Let's see. A very handsome man says, "Hearing this is so helpful. Early experiences like this make me leave feeling so upset with myself. Learning that others have experienced this and how they work through it instead of attacking myself. Yes. I've never thought about earplugs. What a great idea for self-care to those of us who are sound sensitive. Food snack is such a good idea, like a comfort treat, candy. Yes, 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 definitely. Um, I was thinking about how in a kinky space, because everyone's autistic. Okay, maybe not everybody, but it just feels like everyone's autistic. I stopped feeling weird. It's
Yes,
just, I can
yes,
just talk about what's happening. I can be like,
yeah, yeah,
oh, you know what? The lights are too loud. It's just, there's too many smells here. And nobody bats an eye. Like, it's just like, oh, yeah, no, I get that. Do you need
yeah,
a safe room? Do you need some quiet? Do you need some? And then I go back into the other world and people are like, why are you doing this? It's one of the things that I do. Again, I try really hard to hide my stimming. I try really hard to hide all the self-regulation things that are not, very mainstream. One of the
mhm,
things that I do is I don't step on, like, on the street, on the sidewalk. I don't step on the cracks. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. But I'm very careful so that people don't notice.
okay,
And I remember that when I told my daddy, and he's just immediately goes to see if I do it. And one thing that I hate is when people go, "What happens if you do it?" And I'm like, "Well, it's just uncomfortable. Okay, do it. Let me see." And I'm like, why? Why? Why?
no, no. I mean, I stopped masking a lot because at the beginning of the last year, I slipped into a very severe autistic burnout. As some may know, I was powerlifting successfully. I was national champion. I was preparing for Europeans. I've also been in local council. I've been playing theater for all my life, for more than 30 years. And I could squat with twice my body weight on my shoulders. And I woke up in the morning and I could not walk anymore. And I could not walk stairs because
Oh
my legs
no.
gave out. I was unable to talk for weeks. I could not eat. I was barely sleeping more than 3 hours a night. I had my heart rate going up and down. My blood pressure was going up and down. So my complete central nervous system was completely freaked out. And I think that was also because I was masking all my life and trying to pretend to be neurotypical. And here comes King Space in again very beautifully, because I think BDSM people, you need to be honest to be safe. So you cannot pretend to feel good in a situation
Yes.
without risking a dominant pushing you too far or being pushed too far. So no matter what it is and how weird it is and how strange it may feel for you in the first moment to like say, okay, but I can still hear the neighbor in the kitchen and I cannot focus on you before he has finished like smashing the meat or something, whatever. Or, I still feel my socks. I still feel my socks on my ankles. So please get them off of there. No matter how weird it is, what you need to be safe and how to get through a situation safe in King Space and BDSM, it is just normal to say it, and no one's going
Yes.
to judge you for it, because this is so important information. No matter if you're neurotypical or if you're autistic and do not know it yet, or if you have ADHD and don't know it, whatever it is, communicate it. So this is like so vitally important in all of that, and so normal and so beautiful. It makes it so much easier for neurodivergent people to feel not like they're the odd one out.
Yeah, I feel also these kink spaces give me permission to do it. Like it's expected of me to communicate these things. People will ask me, how what can I do to make you feel safe? What are your triggers? How you and I were having a conversation before, and you were telling me about this book that one day we'll talk about this book. But I love how you asked me, do you have any triggers around this topic? It's like just being so
Mm-hmm.
careful
Yeah.
about the other person's well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and somebody was saying here, the interesting how people cope in different ways. I need a
Yeah.
closed dark room or a pillow over my head to cut out the world.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have synesthesia, so my smell triggers colors in my head. So I smell things and I see colors in my head. Um, and I will tell people that I'm always smelling things. Like it's constant. And if my daddy's husband has these plug-in smelly things that if there's like he has them all over the house. If it's too many, I cannot concentrate. It feels like they're stabbing my
Mm-hmm.
nose.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I also love smells. Like it's a big kink. I don't know if it's a kink, but it's a big kink for me. And I will tell my partners or play partners, I'll be like, I want to sniff you. I want to know what you smell like. And then they'll be like, what color do you smell? I'm like, oh, I particularly love brown. There's a very particular smell of people who smell brown. It's so good. I had a partner who smelled like creamy yellow. I did not like that smell. He didn't smell bad. And I have to communicate this. Like, it's not that you smell bad. It's just what happens in my head when I smell you is just something different. And in the kink world, it becomes oh yeah, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're so used to all this stimuli being all over the place, and people are curious. I don't feel the judgment of, oh, that is so weird. Why are you, So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very, very important.
Yeah.
You there's something I want to go on to the other um post you made about this, where you talk about what happens when things break. When I had it right here. You were saying, I'll find it. I'll find it. I had it right here. I swear I was ready. But
Our rituals. When
Yes.
rituals break. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you made the
Um,
content, so you know why I'm not asking you.
yeah, breaking of rituals, I think it's hard for everyone because they are giving safety. And if it's just a relationship between two neurotypical people, it's
Yeah.
also sometimes hard to say, okay, a protocol or a ritual, we're done with that. It's not fulfilling anymore. And I think even for them, it's sometimes really hard to let things go. But as an autistic people, it feels like a piece of safety is breaking away. And this is
Yes.
so hard. And sometimes you really try sticking to stuff because the pain of letting it go might sometimes feel more heavy than pushing into it, despite the fact that it's not doing any good anymore. So not sure how your rituals in your everyday life, but for me, for example, as long as I was like training, I had the same breakfast every day. I
Yes.
love eating the same things every day. I still do. Um, and I think that was something from my ADHD brain. I woke up and I made that bowl and it looked so tasty and it smelled exactly right. And I felt my mouth watering already. And I'm putting a spoon into my mouth and I was like,
It's
no,
over.
we're done. I'm sorry, breakfast, we're done. And
Yes.
this is now 1.5 years, and
Yeah.
I did not find a replacement yet.
No,
And
no,
I'm
no.
every morning I'm in the kitchen and I'm like, yeah, coffee, but um, what else? And then I'm trying to, and nothing feels right, which has me ending up not eating breakfast anymore because I can't. I did not find anything that fits everything the way I want, and I just can't. So breaking of rituals is really so freaking hard. And for me, it's easier to let it go, not like just saying, okay, now we're done with it. But like for the breakfast, I usually have blueberries in that. And I continued eating like a few blueberries. So it was like a little bit of what gave me safety. So it was not everything gone at once. So if a ritual breaks, maybe do not say, okay, we are going to cut this off like today because it's not serving us anymore, but do it in little steps that are digestible and keep something that maybe reminds you and still gives you safety, but is manageable and feels good for both parts until you're ready to say, okay, I can let go.
Yeah, and this applies to relationships and definitely to
Mhm,
kink. I remember when I had someone I did puppy play with, and one ritual that we had is anytime I was to be his puppy, I was to be in puppy headspace, he would just like pat me in front of him and then just like trigger me a little bit with a few cute words, just like being playful, and then putting my hood on. And that
mhm,
was my moment of this is the beginning of our scene. This is the beginning of our interaction. And then when we were done, he would just come over. He would talk me through coming back and then take the hood. It was like it had to be that specific way, and it was so
mhm,
safe. It was so good. Um, and I think when I take this to relationships, like in polyamory or non-monogamy, when people are creating this exploring this new space of having my partner being with someone else or having my partner explore other spicy play with people, having a ritual around it sometimes brings safety. Like I've
yeah,
asked, can you let me know before you meet someone? Can you call me after? Can we set a date for every week? And
mhm,
that ritual creates safety. It reduces the surprises. It helps have something to look forward to. And when that breaks,
mhm.
it's like panic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, which reminds me of rejection sensitivity dysphoria,
Yes,
because this
yes,
can also trigger so hard when you're used to a ritual that someone like sends you maybe just an emoji to say, okay, I'm still thinking of you at a certain point of time, like maybe when they're going into their lunch break or something, or when they take sitting in their car before they start driving home or something. And they do not do it, this alone can trigger rejection sensitivity dysphoria so much. You sit there staring at your phone and you're asking yourself, did I do anything wrong today? Are they
Yes.
upset with me? Did I do it on purpose? Did they forget me? Am I not important anymore? What's going on
God,
here? It's like,
yes.
oh my god, what's going on? Have I messed up this? Am I going to show this? This is like, oh my god. And this is like also something where rituals are keeping you so safe as long as they work. And I think it's really important to know this rejection sensitivity dysphoria, because you're still going to be triggered, but you can find ways to deal with it. So
Yes, exactly.
just like, okay, when you forget me, can I send you this little emoji like in question just to say that, hey, did you forget me? Did you like, can you still love me? This is
Yes.
so sweet in that moment. Yeah.
Yes, there's I have, and the thing is when the ritual gets broken because it's so important, because it's very easy to see it, and sometimes other people don't see it. You know, like it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I just forgot to say this thing, or I had a conversation with someone very like last week, I think,
Yeah.
about when I'm like, oh well, you know, are you okay? Are we okay? Did something happen? It's like, yeah, why? Like, well, every morning you send me a text saying, hi, handsome man, or hi, beautiful, or hi, something. And this morning
Mm-hmm.
it was good morning. Why
Yeah.
do you hate me? What's wrong? What did I do? Am I the worst person? What happened? And
Mm-hmm.
like, just, it doesn't have to be what you said is very important. Like, I'm still triggered, but I also am aware that I am very sensitive to this, and that there's a possibility that reality is not exactly as impactful as I'm feeling it. So then being
Yeah.
able to check in and be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I am perceiving this. Is
Mm-hmm.
this what you're feeling?
Yeah.
Um, what you said about having maybe little responses I hadn't thought of, that I'm gonna implement that. Just like a little emoji that means reassurance. Like this
Yeah.
emoji means I need some
Yeah.
reassurance in this
Yeah.
form. And then we go back to being able to ask for what you need, how you need it. You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
not just reassurance, because you will reassure me the way you know how to reassure me, but also I need reassurance in the form of this. Can you
Yeah.
give me this?
Yeah.
I just realized something, and I want to ask you, how would you define rejection sensitivity dysphoria?
Well, for me, is that you're overly sensitive to being rejected or getting critique or not being accepted or loved for who you are.
Mm.
And I think it's very, well, we know it is very common in neurodivergent people,
Yeah.
because I'm not sure if I have that right in mind, but I think there was like a study or something, or just people researching saying that by the age of 10 years,
Hmm.
neurodivergent people have heard about 10,000 more negative things about themselves than neurotypical people.
Whoa.
Don't, I'm not sure about the numbers, but it was so huge. I was shocked, but it totally
Yes.
makes sense. It totally makes sense because, like, as an autistic person, um, let alone the eye contact, I can't even give you a number of how often as a kid I hear the words, look into my eyes, or why do you stare at me? So this is something that this is hitting really deep, because I've been hearing that
Mm.
so often, and this is so exhausting to do. Um,
Yeah.
I've had a job where I constantly was dealing with customers, and I did learn that keeping eye contact between 2 and 3 seconds is what people prefer. So while talking to them, I had to look them into the eyes for 2 to 3 seconds, and then I had to look away. But keep in mind that I have to look back, not too long, but also not too short, and then look again. And while keeping, like, a sympathetic face. And while I was looking at them, of course, my face, I was always scanning how they were behaving. And when there
Mhm.
was, like, for example, a little muscle twitching here, I was like, okay, now I have to look at the body language. Was that now because they're curious or because they get suspicious of something? And this is everything you just all the time, we're just running on top. You do not do that like a neurotypical person, that this is something which is automatic, that you see, okay, this person is just like, is curious now. You don't see that just by looking at them. You have to really watch, okay, which muscles are going on, where's the mouth, what do the eyes do, are they sitting like in a closed position, are they thinking in an open position, and all of that while you are working and while you're talking and while you're thinking about what you can say and analyzing what they mean with what they say, because neurotypical people rarely ever say what they mean. They want you to assume and be able to read them. And
Yes.
now I lost the point where we got started, but here we are.
No, but I love it. It's true, and it makes me think about how I used to think at some point. I don't think I think I'm autistic. I don't think I'm neurodivergent, because if I'm at a party, I can totally, like, what I do is I will look at someone and find a way to make them like, to make sure that they know that I'm looking at them. I will listen and I will respond in a way that they know that I'm being attentive. And as I'm saying this, people are like, "You do that?" I'm like, "Oh wait, you don't? Wait, what? Doesn't everybody do this? Like, aren't you always thinking about how to make sure the other person doesn't think you're weird?" Um,
Yeah,
and
that
like
was the first step for me.
this part of the sensitivity, it makes so much sense what you're saying about, to me, about having so many negative messages. You know, my
Yeah.
father, particularly, had a lot of criticism constantly. But one of my biggest triggers in the world is when people say reality is not the way you see it. Because
Mm-hmm.
it was this constant, because I had, growing up, I had to interpret so much
Yeah.
and not understand when people were like, "Oh, I said this, but I meant this other thing," and I never got it. It would
Mm-hmm.
take so much work, and I would be ridiculized, I would be humiliated, I would be
Mm-hmm.
shunned, all because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand what I was supposed to understand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when someone says to me, reality is not the way you see it, all of that comes back immediately. And I'm like, I'm insane. I'm
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I'm not enough. Um,
Yeah.
Now, to that is, we all experience rejection as human beings, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very impactful. It's something that's very hurtful.
Yeah.
What you were saying before is, as autistic people, as ADHD people with ADHD, that is like 100%, right? Like, it goes really, really high. And I think it's important for empathy, towards
Yeah.
someone that
Yeah.
you may not understand why they get triggered so much.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's like, I don't need to understand your trigger in order to be there for you, in order to be able to contribute to your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's, I want to go to see if anybody has questions about this topic, please drop it in the comments or in the sticker down here. Uh, there was one more thing. You talk about dopamine and reward over punishment
Yeah.
for kinky people and autistic people. And it says
Mm-hmm.
that the ADHD brain often responds even more strongly to positive reinforcement than to punishment than neurotypical people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can you tell us more about that? How does that work?
Well, we all know how much people, especially with ADHD, are constantly seeking for dopamine.
Yes.
And I think this is something really important, which keeps us going and engaged and motivated to continue things and to work on things. If you are working on something and you constantly get positive feedback about how much you've been getting better at certain things, this is like so good. If you have an ADHD brain, you will just work your ass off just to be like, to get a little praise, to get a little spark of dopamine going there. When someone's telling you, good boy or good girl, you did so good today, you were like doing better than last time. You did that today and you could not able to do that last time, but today you could do it. I'm so proud of you. Is it like you're having shivers running down your spine? Um,
Yes.
in that moment, it is really important also to say that, especially with ADHD people, it is important to give the positive feedback and the praise in the moment where it happens. So if you say, okay, 3 days ago you did something, you are quite a bit better than last time. It was nice. It's like
It's gone.
it's not hitting like it should. So
Yeah.
do it in the moment and do it very specific. Don't do it like globally or something, which like, yeah, it was nice. Just like compared to what? But
Yeah.
please be specific when you praise. Say, this time you did this better. I'm not sure if you have to say percentage, but be as precise as possible. So then it really lands and it does its job and it feels so good. I think praise is so important for each and every person, and compliments. I think it's really like soul food because we all love that. And also the person giving a compliment and giving praise is having that effect for his own brain as well. So this is go for both sides of the equation. And just like being able to laugh together, it is so important to be able to recognize positive things in each other and between each other. And I think this is more common because ADHD people and maybe also autistic people, because we are so often
Oh,
the odd
so
one out
sad.
and hear the negative stuff. It is so good to finally hear like, yeah, well done, good boy, good girl. It's like,
It's so great. It's so great. Um, I was having a really rough time in the last few weeks. So many things happening in my life, and one of the things where I can see that my brain is starting to get to the edge of regulation is when my living space is messy. I'm not a messy person, but then suddenly my room is messy. Suddenly the bed is not made. Suddenly I'm not taking medication. Like it's just things start piling up. And I'm like, oh, I know
yeah,
this is
yeah,
happening, and I
yeah.
need some external help, somebody to help me out. So I was just talking to my daddy and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, and I don't even know if he knows that he did it, that what he did. But eh, I was talking to a friend, and he, as we were talking, I was making my bed,
Mm-hmm.
and then he said, "I see you made your bed." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Good boy."
Body
And
doubling.
I was like,
Mm.
and then this morning we talked again. I'm in my bed, and he's like, "You made your bed. Thank you for making your bed." I'm like, "I can't wait to do it again tomorrow."
That's beautiful. Yes, absolutely. There was one comment which said, I saw somewhere that it's not the reward, it's the fuel. And that was a lot of
Ah,
work. I think
okay.
that's really beautiful because that's what keeps us going and what keeps the brain going and keeps all that stuff getting there connected. Um, that's nice. What you described just with the making the bed while on the phone, I think that's body doubling. You don't
Oh, can
have
you
to,
explain
you
what that
don't have
is?
to. Yeah, I do like to do that, like calling my mom when I have to clean the kitchen. I just like to be on the phone with my mother. And also
Yes.
when I do not know where to start because everything piled up too much, which happens, I do
Yes.
have three kids. I sent her a picture of the kitchen. Said, "Mom, can you please tell me where to start? What am I supposed to do first now?" And she said, "Yeah, start with this, and then you do that, and then you do that, and then can I call you? Yeah, sure." And then we'll start talking about everything. And when we're doing that, everything's just fine. And if I would be alone, it would be much harder. Music often helps. So if you
Yes.
have the right soundtrack, you're just dancing around and cleaning everything. It's the hour of power. But body doubling and external structure and support is so helpful and also so common in DS relationship or in BDSM because body doubling often happens, I think, because when you get told what to do, so in little tasks and stuff, there's someone around, or you know that afterwards someone's going to check in with what you achieved with that task. And also that
Mhm.
does help because having a deadline and being checked is
Yeah.
also something which helps you to get stuff done. And having someone around who's not even watching what you're doing, just having someone there, having on the telephone, talking about something completely different topic, and it's so much easier to get things done. And then when you get a reward afterwards and you get a little praise and a good boy or good girl, and it's like,
So good. Somebody said literally doing body doubling right now. This life got me out of scrolling, and I've been doing laundry, podcasts, and phone calls. I've been doing laundry. Can you give us a quick
really good.
definition of what body doubling is?
Body doubling is just having someone there physically or just like hearing someone talk or being on the phone with someone, communicating, focusing on someone talking, maybe sometimes even hearing a podcast can serve as body doubling. And then everything else which you might be distracted from, because you start thinking about other things. Doing laundry is a perfect example, because when I start doing laundry, I maybe see that beneath the basket there's something laying around, and I feel like, okay, I have to carry that to the bathroom. Then I go to the bathroom. Oh wait, I was doing laundry, and then I'm going back laundry. And when you focus on something else and you're listening to something that's really interesting, or now you have someone watching you, you stick to what you're doing. And this is really helpful for ADHD and, well, for autistic people. I'm not sure because I'm ADHD, so I don't know. Autistic people also have a problem with sticking to their stuff. But I think so, because you easily get distracted because you always hear and see and feel, smell
Everything.
everything that's around. So probably if you're doing laundry and you're smelling something from the kitchen, you're like, okay, I need to go there and forget about the basket or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
you have to tell me.
We're reaching the end of our time. Somebody said that for them, praise and compliments make me feel awful and unsafe. I absolutely hate praise. Remember that nothing is for everybody, and your experience is your experience.
Mhm.
I think we don't have time to get into it right now,
Yeah.
but definitely boundaries are important. And if you already know that that makes you uncomfortable, then it's very much like, noted this. What else can I ask for? Perfectly valid. Can Where can people find you? I love these conversations. I could just go on and on and on, but I don't want this to cut off before, because it's happened like people are talking and just cuts off. So
Mhm.
where can people find you? Anything you want to plug?
Excuse me, I did not.
Where can people find you? What can you share? Like, what's your Instagram, etc.
Um, my Instagram is Words Our King.
Hmm.
You can find me there. You can find my stuff there. I'm always happy if I get like questions, or ideas for new posts and stuff like that. So I save them all around. Next stuff that's coming out is going to be about praise, also about non-violent praise, because there's a violent praise as well. So I've been digging into Marshall Rosenberg and stuff like that. There's 2 pieces coming out. Why praise is soul food, and how to do it right and how to do it wrong. And yeah, I'm always curious for everything going out there. I'm looking forward to do more lives. So if anyone's interested, please let me know. We can talk about it. I'm also working on a new model of constant mapping. I do not like the word negotiating limits, because you don't negotiate limits, you communicate them and get them
Yes.
confirmed. So
Yes.
for me, it's constant mapping what we're doing. And I'm having a completely new model for that, which can also be visualized really on a kind of map thing. So I'm looking forward for that. So that would be amazing. And there's other stuff as well I'm working on, where I really would like to get in touch with like professionals in psychology, and coaching and stuff like that. So that would be amazing, which is long-term goal. But for now, I think that's enough.
That's perfect. So yes, I love the idea. This, and you said this before to me, that boundaries are not negotiated; they're communicated. And the idea of mapping instead of negotiating is so good. Um, Go follow Miriam at Words Are a Kink. Read all the information. It's so good to find information that is clear, it's compassionate, it's useful. There's so much misinformation out in the world, and we need more stories like that. So please go follow Words Are a Kink. Send her your questions, and hopefully we talked about another live stream about dark romance.
Yeah,
um, I would love to do that, but
me
if
too.
you're if you
Me
would like to
too.
come back, I would like that.
I would love to. I absolutely. I've been enjoying this so much. So thank you so much for having me. This was like perfect.
Thank you. I admire you. I admire your work, and your mind is so bright and interesting. So thank you so much for sharing it with me and with us. Um, I'll be sharing this live stream on both our feeds in the next few days.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Beautiful
Bye.
day.
Percent of Quinksters or people in Quinky communities show autistic traits compared to 1 or 2% of people in the general population. That is a lot more than, if I did quick math, I could tell you, but I don't. So you're free to say something in the comments. That's 49% more. That's 48 to 49% more than in general community. So is it that us Quinky people tend to be autistic, or is it that it just happens to be? What do autistic people find in Quinky communities that just makes it better? I can tell you what my experience is, but why would you believe me? I am not researching this stuff. I am just a dog. But what I can tell you is that I am very happy to have someone who is a researcher and who has a ton of knowledge on this topic. So let me just go on here and... So very excited, very, very excited to learn about Quinky people and autistic people with the same thing. Hi.
Hello.
I
Hello.
love the background. Very good. Look at
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. There's just acoustic panels.
That's
But
perfect. Well,
I love how
welcome.
they look.
It's very good. Very good. Love it. Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for spending time with me for this conversation. Can you please introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are, but they should?
Yeah. Hello there. My name is Miriam. I do have the account Words Are a Kink, and I'm a researcher, an educator, as it seems. So that's where I came along, the way that I've been taking, and also a journalist, but not about kink, other topics, usually as a ghostwriter and freelancer.
Oh, interesting. Why ghostwriter?
It developed like that. I've been putting some pieces online, and some people came up to me and said, "Hey, can you write for me?" And well, that's how it all got started.
I did realize that at some point you made a story on your account asking if the people wanted to see the face behind the posts or just keep it as anonymous. And it wasn't until that point that I realized I didn't know who was writing it. When I saw your account, I immediately became a fan. I was like, I need to read all of these posts and just get every single bit of information. But I realized that I didn't know who was behind it. So I'm